Living in Las Vegas starts now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome from Las Vegas, Nevada, that groovy little podcast that gives you a true first-person look into what it's like to call Sin City your home. The Living in Las Vegas podcast. And now your host, here we go, a man who clearly needs some kind of introduction, otherwise you wouldn't know who he was, Mr. Scott Whitney. Welcome, everybody, to the Living in Las Vegas podcast here on the Vegas Video Network. Clearly, it's going to be a different kind of show today, given what happened last Sunday. But just a quick update of what we are all about before we get started in our topic. You're watching the longest-running podcast about Vegas. It actually originates from Vegas. We're going to talk about what it's like to live here, our adventures here on the Strip and elsewhere. And for those of you who are tourists or fans or are thinking about moving here, we consider this show your own secret handshake to all things cool and groovy. We're live for our free show the first and third Tuesday of every month at 7 o'clock Pacific time. It's vegasvideonetwork.com/live. Again, vegasvideonetwork.com/live. I would invite you to come and join us even before the show. We begin the show at 7. It's about an hour-long show, but we do our pre-show. Today we did our pre-show. It was about 20 minutes before we got started, so you can kind of watch how we get things started. And then we're going to do a post-show, as we always do. Those usually go about a half hour or so. That typically includes content that we didn't feel comfortable sharing during the actual live show itself. I'm your host, Scott Whitney. Konnichiwa, buenas noches. How you doing? I am the owner and founder of the Vegas Video Network, so on behalf of all the shows here, thanks for supporting our network. As a matter of fact, just signed a new show today. Pretty excited about that. And on thanks for watching our show as well. Also with me back is the greatest and powerful Pimpin' Wayne. What's going on, Pimpin'?
Thank you.
I'll give you a little applause. There you go.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
There we go.
Always good to be back. I had to take that one vacation day, but it won't be taken. As I impressed you earlier, as Aerosmith says, I'm back in the saddle again.
Look at you. And by the way, we were playing Name That Tune prior to, and you nailed an Aerosmith Rocks tune, which puts you in a whole
well
different...
overall.
I think you did 80, 90. Well, I was going to give you 80.
Yeah.
Nick, on the other hand, got nothing right. It's a little sad. Welcome in the live chat. New person in the live chat, Texas 505, is John, who discovered us on YouTube. He's been watching us for a few months. And here's what I like about John, very much like my cue. He discovered us and said, I got to give me a lot of that. He went back and has watched every single show.
It's like that, you get that first.
It is.
That first kind of a taste, and then
you get that taste.
You need some Scott and Wayne coursing through your veins.
You got to have it. So we appreciate Texas 505 or John playing along with us. All right, let's get started. Okay. So the main topic will be a discussion on safety in Las Vegas. Clearly, given what happened over the weekend, I had an idea for a different kind of show, and we'll do that show next week or 2 weeks from now. But I wanted to address a bit about what happened and some other thoughts about that with regards to your own personal safety when it comes to Vegas. So just kind of a quick update for those of you who weren't aware of what happened. This last weekend, there was a concert called the Route 91 Harvest Festival. It was a 3-day concert, country western kind of thing. Lots of people. It's been around for a while here in Las Vegas, well attended. And on Sunday, the last day, about 10:15 or so, somebody from the 32nd floor of Mandalay Bay, using automatic weapons, shot these 20,000 people. 59 people were killed, 527 were hurt. It was brutal. And about the shooter himself, whose name I'm not going to put out there, he was considered a high roller within the gambling places, the casinos here in Las Vegas. Many of the casinos knew of this guy. He had transferred $100,000 to the Philippines a day before this event took place. And according to a reporter at the Review Journal, he was, quote, was a well-known VIP gambler at Mandalay Bay. He played high-limit video poker, was playing $125 a hand kind of poker. He was a type of player who would have been comped for a 32nd floor suite for the weekend, and he had a six-figure credit limit. I have heard from other folks in town that he had similar kinds of credits at other properties. And to give you an idea of the environment he was in, I'm going to show you a map of this environment. If you look, you'll see Mandalay Bay. It's a little hard to see in the graphic perhaps, but you'll see an X on the right side of Mandalay Bay. That's where the shooter was. And you see a big X on the bottom of this, people want to say a fairground. It's not really a fairground, but it's an outdoor concert area. The distance between those two X's is about 400 yards. The weapons he used, their range was between 400 and 500 yards. So clearly, this guy had some understanding of what he was using. I learned about it unusually. I think Melissa woke me up probably about 1 o'clock or so in the morning, and our phones were blowing up. We were getting all these calls, and they were primarily coming from people in the UK who were awake and were aware of this stuff. So Melissa,
probably middle of the afternoon there,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. So Melissa wakes me up, and I'm one of those people when you wake up, I'm a little, I get a little jumpy, and I thought, I should say that she looked at me like she was pretty freaked out, and I immediately thought there was a risk at the house, that something was problematic at the house. So I jumped up, kind of figuring out what's going on here, and she explained what was happening. Like anybody who was woken up at 1 o'clock in the morning, we watched the rest of the night. How did you hear about it?
So similar, just a little bit later. Hannah and I are kind of early birds in the sense that we don't stay up very late. I always say I don't know how these celebrities do it and people that go to these nightclubs.
Right.
But we were in bed probably. I think I went to bed at 10 o'clock that night, 10:30. Hannah was asleep a little bit before that, and so at 5 a.m. Her alarm traditionally goes off, and so I usually flounder around in the bed a little bit, try to catch some more Z's. And so I'm rolling over, and it's still dark out because the curtains are drawn and it's not very light. And Hannah, my wife, she's sitting up in bed, she's looking at her phone and she's crying. And so my first thought was, gosh, who died? Because she knows a lot of people and she's very connected at church and those sorts of things. And, I love my wife, but even that ASPCA commercial with Sarah McLachlan can bring her to tears.
I actually can't watch that commercial.
So she makes me change it. So then my second thought was, it's probably friend of a friend of a friend of someone she's heard of, that, kind of deal. So I'm half asleep and I said, what's wrong? And she says there was a shooting down on the Strip. They're calling it the biggest mass casualty in U.S. history. Yep. And at that point, it's early in the morning.
They knew, as a matter of fact.
And I'm still, you're still processing it. And I just think my first reaction was just, oh, wow. And she continued to sit there and go through her phone. At that point, I was up. So I'm a Twitter guy myself, just because just the immediacy of it. Yep. And I feel like it's less commercialized than Facebook.
Yep.
So I'm going through the Twitter. Which I went to bed at 10:30, so my Twitters, I still had several hours to catch up.
Right.
So I'm going through it, and that's where I started to pick up on the details as well.
And it was, so a lot of people who reached out to us, know that we go to a lot of events. Melissa and I and our friends go to a lot of events. As a matter of fact, we were at Mandalay Bay less than 24 hours prior to that, or over at House of Blues, and I knew people there. Remind me to talk about a gal who was there, who did a Facebook post while it was going on, because I want to talk about something there. The one thing that's interesting about Vegas is that we are known as a transient town, meaning that people come and go, people try their luck and then they bail out. that implies to some extent that it's not a close community because it's a transient town.
Oh, and you drive around and you see everybody's got a walled backyard.
Right.
You know, a lot of people don't know who their neighbors are, or you only see them in passing.
And their driver's license and their license plates are still from out of town.
California,
Sure.
Arizona. So yeah, I think that's why it's so easy to stereotype that.
Yeah, and Monday morning, everybody is a little bit in shock or a lot of bit in shock, as a matter of fact. I mean, I had business meetings that were canceled because of this event. But one of the things that happened Monday morning that I felt was nice was I had a 9 o'clock appointment, and I was driving by the largest blood bank in Las Vegas, which is over on Charleston. Here's a video of that content, and what you see here, this is at just before 9 o'clock in the morning. These are people who started lining up about 4 o'clock in the morning. And as you can see, they're lined up going into the entrance through the complete front of that building, and they're all the way into that parking lot. Now, if you watch that video, you'll see how it ends in the parking lot. Well, I came back there about 25 minutes later, and that line came back out of the parking lot and went all the way down to the next block and turned in. So much so that all the blood banks in Las Vegas basically said, we've got enough right now, but come back next week, because that's when we're going to need it. But it was very, very impressive. House Seats Presents, which was going to be on Thursday this week, we're not going to be shooting that show because DW Bistro, which Bryce owns, is going to be taking food and delivering it to all the different fire departments here in Las Vegas. So that was the nice stuff. I want to spend a second talking a little bit about terrorism. This was not terrorism, by the way. I don't consider this the ISIS Islamic kind of terrorism thing. So I just want to make sure that's clear.
It did take them, about 15 minutes to claim responsibility?
They did.
For a 60-year-old white guy out of Mesquite?
It was an actually interesting thing. There's some interesting reports on that particular thing because the news agency that did that usually is pretty accurate. And in that case, they clearly weren't. And there was another case where they clearly weren't. So we're starting to lose their respect.
Well, I was joking with someone at work that, if ISIS could go back in time, they would claim responsibility for the Titanic.
Exactly.
And claim that the iceberg was a secret operative.
Right. Exactly. So I want to speak a little bit about terrorism as it relates to Las Vegas. Again, this was not the kind of terrorism I'm speaking of. This was a crazy guy. And we don't know what the issue was, and it will be some time. I think we'll eventually learn about it. It could be a gambling issue or whatever. But nonetheless, I want to talk about terrorism because it's come up before. As a matter of fact, the Mitchells, Neil and Sarah, were in town last week, and we spent some time with them, actually quite a bit of time. And it was ironic in that I think it was Friday night or Friday. I took the day off, and we hung out with those guys. And Neil and I were talking about terrorists as it relates to Las Vegas. And he asked me, do I really think that we're a target? Now, this is before all of this happened. And here's my take on this. From a terrorist perspective, their job is a job of efficacy. Meaning, if they have an event, they want to impact the most amount of people as possible. So 9/11 is an example of that happening. So they attacked the two things that we're pretty well known for, our finances and our military. Those are the two places that they targeted, and it had a huge effect. They also killed a lot of people, obviously, but that was why they targeted that. So there's been a lot of talk about Vegas being a high-level target, top 5, they say. And I don't agree with it. Here's my take on this. So, again, efficacy is the job of a terrorist. So if I attack something, I want the most people possible affected by it. So what is Las Vegas known for? Well, there's 4 things, 2 of which I think most people can get behind, which is entertainment and food. Most people aren't going to say entertainment's bad and food's bad. So if you attack the place that we're into, that could be problematic. But there are 2 things that we're known for that a large swath of people, including people in our country, don't care for, and that's gambling and drinking. So an attack on Vegas won't be as efficient when it comes to America's response, because there's a bunch of people here who think, yeah, you probably deserved it. You're sinners for drinking and gambling. So I don't think it's a play. Versus what they've done in Europe. So what do they attack? They attack transportation. They attack where people are. Attack an amusement park. Imagine what would happen if Disney got hit. That would be problematic. So I really don't think Vegas is high on their priority list as a result of that. So I've never felt nervous about being in crowds because of that.
No, I agree with you, but for different reasons.
Okay.
And that is that Vegas it's the world's playground. So you can say that, as you said, you can say that you're against drinking and you're against, sex and gambling and those sorts of things. You can pull that holier than thou kind of routine that you have to pull amongst the masses. But it always goes back to, and I say it's not trying to make light of this, but a joke that Hannah taught me, which is, how do you keep a Mormon from drinking all the booze at your party? You invite two. Because everybody, who you are in the dark when no one's looking is who you are. Yeah. Classic case example, if you remember, you invoked 9/11. Where did some of the 9/11 hijackers stay a couple days before they carried out their plot? Here in Vegas.
Yeah.
Because people want that last hurrah. You can be against it morally, but guess what? People like drinking. People like having a good time. People like, letting loose for a little bit.
Yes, so I agree with that, but the darkness, what's happening in the darkness isn't the story. So again, this is an efficacy thing. I don't think we're a high priority target for an ISIS attack because of what we represent. I don't think this is efficient. Again, attack something that everybody believes in, transportation, amusement, whatever. And actually, I'll probably talk about this in the after show. It's not recorded, but I actually think I know exactly what I would do if I were a terrorist to cause problems, because it would be frightening. So here's my thinking about just the concept of managing a threat. And one of them is this idea of a herd theory. I'm afraid that most people are afraid to stand out. And what I mean by that is, I forget the phrase, but if you see something, say something, I think is the term. Mm-hmm. But I think most people don't do that. And that's because of their herd mentality. They're afraid to make waves. They're afraid to look stupid. They're afraid to seem racist. And so they don't say anything. And my take is exactly the opposite of that. If I see something that looks problematic, I am absolutely going to say something. As a matter of fact, I have. I have reported people who I thought were squirrely at airports before, and I don't know, and quite frankly, I don't care whether they were good, bad, or indifferent. I was uncomfortable, and my job when I'm with my wife or with my friends is to look out for them. And I'm that guy. I'm the guy who's constantly scanning to see what's around me. We went to Rome, went to Italy for vacation about, 5 or 6, 8 years ago. And quite frankly, it was very difficult for me because I spent the whole time trying to see what's going on. Come to find out, those people don't speak English. And so I was in a place where they didn't speak English. They didn't really care to speak English. Now, of course, the restaurants. But the whole time I'm freaking out going, what do I do if something bad happens? I couldn't relax.
Well, you know what they say. When in Rome.
Yeah, when in Rome, try the limoncello was basically the only thing that I liked there. And actually, the first one, that's a horrible drink, quite frankly. But the fourth one, that's fantastic. So what I wanted to talk about today are tips for being safe in a crowd. I think most people walk into crowded environments. And by the way, Vegas, I would argue, is the king of crowds. We create more crowds than any other town in the country. A show is a crowd. You got more than 100 people, you're in a crowd.
Yeah, you think compared to New York City? It's close. It's a toss-up.
I actually think we have more shows than New York City does, I would argue. I think they have Broadway shows. I don't know. Well, actually, I don't know that it matters so much, the semantics. But crowd control is important. Being smart in a crowd is important. So I wanted to throw a couple things that I do and a couple things that I don't do that I'm going to do moving forward, because I think it's important that while you may or may not agree with my belief on how much of a threat Vegas is, it doesn't matter. Whether this is a terrorist thing or a crazy guy shooting thing, or a fire in the theater thing, I would like for you guys to be able to come to Vegas, or if you're living in Vegas, go to a show and feel safe in these places. Again, I'm that guy who walks in and I'm constantly scanning what's around me. So the first thing I would suggest is when you walk into an environment, a venue of some kind, the first thing is eyeball the exits. So see how to get out. Now here's what's important. Most people think the exit to get out in is the entrance they came in on. And that is not necessarily the closest exit, but it's human nature to want to go back to where you came in from. Now I'll give you an example of where that could be problematic. So on Saturday at Mandalay Bay, we were at House of Blues. Now, for those of you who've never been to House of Blues is actually, in essence, underground. So if you come in on ground level on Mandalay Bay, you actually have to go down some stairs, and it's just one set of stairs for all the people who go into that place. And I don't know how many people can go in there, probably 400 or so. Actually, no, it's quite a bit more than that. Maybe 1,000, is that right? What did he say?
For House of Blues capacity?
Yeah, so I bet you it's somewhere around $700 because there's also an upper thing that we don't want. There's a lot of people who can get down there, and they all went down there through stairs that go down. So you walk in that place and you go, well, my only exit is there. That's not true. So the first thing is know where your exits are when you walk in. The second piece is eyeball your path to those exits. It's not enough just to say, I've got 4 exits. Also know how to get out. Now, this is a sad fact for the Sunday event. Can you bring up that picture again for a minute? So if you look at that picture, there were, I think, 6 or 7 entrances to the event area. There were 3 on the strip side and 3 on the far side. Most people came in on the strip side. So naturally, most people think, I got to get out of here. I'm going to go out from where I came. Well, the problem in that environment is they were going out into the gunfire. They were literally escaping towards the gunfire. The problem in that environment was that nobody knew where the gunfire was coming from. They
Just
had
so far
no
away.
idea.
Mm-hmm.
And it was echoing. And there were people who were saying it was unbelievably loud. There's huge echoes. Oh, I did want to say about, this is a bit non sequitur now, but I know a gal who was there who was working there. And she did a Facebook post saying, we're hiding. And she had 100 responses. And this all happened in real time, obviously. And I was reading these responses, and it was unbelievable how much misinformation was being dispersed by her friends. Oh, yeah, there was a shooting at the Zumanity Theater. Oh, yeah, there's a bomb over at this place. Oh, yeah, there's multiple gun shooters, all of which, of course, was not true. Freakish. Just completely freakish. Imagine you're sitting there and reading all these people saying this stuff. Now, my whole take on that is I don't believe anything for 3 hours at all. And it happened. It happened on CNN and Fox and all these guys that were saying things that just weren't true. It wasn't true at all. Okay, so eyeball the exit and then eyeball your path out. Make sure you know how you're going to get out and the different routes to get out to that place as opposed to the way I came in. Number 3. Keep the communication tools if possible. I'm speaking about your cell phone. Now, there's a chance that your cell phone is not going to work, but I see a lot of people where wives hand the cell phone to the husband.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute you do that, you become incommunicado with me if we get separated. So keep your cell phone with you if at all possible. Next one, keep an ID with you if at all possible. Now, this is a bit grim, but there are people today still unsure where their family is or their family member is. And there is a chance that those people have died, but they had no ID. So there's no way to ID these folks. So this is grim. I don't disagree with that. But this happens a lot with wives to husband. Will you hold my ID?
Mm-hmm. And especially venues these days, and especially concert venues, have really cracked down on what you can bring in. Women are limited to, in some instances, a very small clutch. In which case, if you're trying to flee And especially when you're in a panic.
Right.
I mean, you know, the arms get pumping, that thing's gone.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's a very good point. So this is a great point for women, actually. This is a really good point, Wayne. I think that if you're a woman, and this is probably not sexy or good or the right thing, but you should have pockets, and you should put your phone and your ID in your pocket. I know it's not right, and you're not happy with that. I'm going to say too bad, because just like you said, you got a small clutch, and you've got all those things in there, and that thing gets lost, and it will get lost. Now you have no idea. Okay, next one. Say something. I mentioned this in the beginning, but there's a concept, and I actually want some feedback on you about this. There's a concept about something that's considered called out of baseline. So if you are somebody who's in charge of finding shoplifters, this term is well known, this concept of being out of baseline. That means that the behavior looks unusual. So for example, most people I know, and the research that I've done so far indicates that people who watch shoplifters can pick out shoplifters pretty quickly. And the reason is they behave out of baseline. They don't behave like regular people do. So for example, if I'm looking to buy that widget and it's on a shelf, most people stand away from the shelf and they look at it and go, yep, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know what most shoplifters do? Well, they're right up against the shelf because they have to grab it. Well, that's out of baseline. It's a behavior that's not appropriate. So report that. Now, how does that relate to being in a concert or in a show? For example, if I'm at House of Blues and I'm watching Billy Idol and everybody is looking at Billy Idol and they're all bopping their head and they're all clapping their hands, but there's one guy whose eyes are maybe doing this side-to-side thing. He's not moving his head, but he's moving his eyes. Or he's not smiling or he's not looking around. That would be problematic for me. And I will tell you right now, I would report that guy in a New York second because something's not right. And guess what? Again, this falls back to if I was wrong, I don't care. I don't care. If he was just an introvert and he was nervous about being alone, I don't care. I'm going to report him and then let him deal with it. Tough. Okay? Next. It's a good idea to have a meeting place after the event outside of the event. By the way, this would be good regardless if something bad happens or not. Have you ever been to, I've been to MGM Garden many times, 17,000, yeah, 17,000 people there. It's not hard to get separated from your group and like, well, why the hell do we meet? So the idea here is simply pick a place to meet after the event outside of the venue. So where would I do that? I'm going to use House of Blues again. Well, I don't know, maybe at the Valet or maybe at One or the Michael Jackson Cirque du Soleil thing. Probably not there because it's pretty close to House of Blues. Something away from it. You know, the professionals say that you should pick a place inside and outside. So that may be more difficult to do, but I like the idea of saying, look, if we get separated for whatever reason, let's meet at this location and decide upon that ahead of time. That make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Next thing. One of the things that hurts a lot of people in a bad situation like what happened on Sunday, or for example, if a fire happens and that's being stampeded, being in a stampede and getting crushed. So the vast majority, for example, of the injuries that happened Sunday were gunshot wounds, but a lot of people were broken bones that happened from falling and being trampled and jumping over shit and stuff like that. So to protect yourself in a stampede, what you want to do is, if this is the flow of people, so this is dangerous, you know, especially if you're small or a woman, right, or if you're like a Mac. I had to do one joke, just one joke. So if you're doing this, this is risky if you're in that flow. So what you want to do is you want to go diagonally to the side. So this is the flow here. What you want to do, you're in the middle of the flow. You want to go diagonally to the side so you can get off to the wall. You have much more latitude on the wall. You can go both directions, and you don't have people coming at you at this side as well. So a slight move diagonally, whichever way it is. You can't go straight across, just go diagonal, like that. That makes sense? Then finally, again, this is something that I do whenever I fly. I always wear, not the long pants, but I always wear long pants and I wear closed-toed shoes. If I'm in a plane and something goes wrong, I don't want to be in flip-flops. I'm flying to Cancun or whatever, I'm going to go on vacation. I would like to be in shorts and flip-flops, but if bad things happen, I can't run in flip-flops. Just like women can't run in pumps. So I watched, I think it was on CNN, where a bunch of gals were like, we took off our shoes and we started running, but now they're running barefoot. So I don't know about you, but I cannot run very fast barefoot. And I'm guessing you're going to bump into all kinds of nasty shit when you do that. So, again, I know this goes against the women's, I want to look pretty and sexy and cute and all that kind of stuff, but wear closed-toed shoes so that if you do got to go, you can go and not get hurt. What do you think? Anything?
Those were good. I mean, and even if you're not in a densely populated area, I mean, those are good, just good general tips.
A live chat. Before we stop with this here segment here, do you guys have any other ideas on how to stay safe when you're in a crowd? I'm open to a couple things. If not, we'll move on to the next play, which will be Have a Drink on Me. But I'm going to give a couple seconds to let the live chatters kind of play along and see. Very well thought out from, hey, Alan, good to see you again. Alan sent me by the way, I do want to thank all the people who sent me personal emails and texts, many of whom are fans of the show. Alan is one of those people who sent a very nice email making sure we're okay, and it was lovely. So, Alan, I'm glad that you're here. I appreciate that you're here, and thanks for the nice thing. Gregor says carry a gun. Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Carry a gun, by the way.
Would have done you no good in that situation.
Good at all.
Did you happen to see it was either Twitter or Facebook from one of the drummers of the bands who,
No.
So it made headlines because certain news outlets grabbed it because he basically made a lengthy post that said, he couldn't believe he was so wrong on.
I saw the headline that says, yeah.
But his point, so regardless of your belief on that, and I don't want to get into that, but he made a very good point, which was several of the crew members had concealed carry permits. There were guns that were legally carried on the tour bus.
Yep.
They did you no good.
No.
Because at that point, in an active shooter situation with mass panic and police in riot gear, the last thing you want is to be seen holding a gun.
Right.
Because guess what? Chances are
They'll think
you're going to get shot.
Yeah. So that's an interesting thing. So I will probably eventually get a concealed carry weapon permit. Partly because I can. And I want to talk about the process here in Las Vegas. Because it's relatively, actually, it's easy to do that. There is no criteria to do that other than go to an 8-hour class. Whereas in California, you have to jump through a whole bunch of things before you can get that to happen. In Nevada, Las Vegas for sure, Clark County, it's an 8-hour class, and then you basically get this permit.
Depending on where you go. I think after I took it when I first moved to town, and after about 6.5 hours, the instructor was like,
do you have a CCW
you guys
now?
tired of being here? No, I actually never, on a technicality, I never filled it, submitted the application.
So, but in theory, it's an 8-hour class.
Right.
And then you have that, and you're allowed to consume. Now, by the way, Nevada is an open carry state, which means that you can walk down the middle of the strip with an open firearm,
That's not
and that's
entirely
legal.
true.
Well, what's not true about that?
Because the law doesn't specify that open carry is illegal. So it's a technicality, and they talked about this. So in the 8-hour / 6.5-hour course that we took, they discussed that.
Oh, that's what they say.
And from what I remember correctly, the instructor was saying it's a gray area. Open carry is not prohibited, but it's not expressly permitted, if that makes sense.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So you're kind of caught in the middle there.
Yeah. So I'm not seeing a lot of, I'm seeing some nice things from the live chat about what we talked about. I don't see a lot of new stuff. But what I was going to say was this. I'm going to get one because I want to tell you guys what the process is to get one. But just like Wayne said, in that particular scenario, no value. Like again, half the people, not half, I bet you 90% of the people didn't have the first clue where the gunfire was coming from. having a gun doesn't do you any good. And I think you're right. If you start pulling out a gun and start looking around, they're going to think you're the fucking shooter, and you're toast. You're done.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing works, I think, if you are threatened as a single person. Somebody tries to rob you, or you're in a restaurant that's being robbed. I think there could be something there.
Yeah,
I'm not going to debate
different
this.
conversation, different time.
Yeah, and you know,
because there's arguments on both sides.
That's not what this is about. What I want to convey here is simply this: I want everybody to feel safe. I want people to be smart. I want people to have fun here in Las Vegas because this is a great town. We got good people. We're doing good work here on all the 4 levels that I spoke about. But I do want you to be smart. It's not okay to come into a crowded environment and not be smart. And that's our responsibility as adults. So that's what I want to talk about here. That's what I was talking about today. And I hope this was helpful to you guys. Thanks again to the live chatters who said some nice things. All right. I think that's enough of that topic. Let's have a drink. All righty. It's time for Have a Drink on Me. It's part of the show where we talk about a bar or a lounge or a speakeasy or other kind of drinking facility where I take a picture and I show you that picture and you guess what it is. And if you do want to guess, you send an email to where? Well, you send it to haveadrink@vegasvideonetwork.com. Again, have a drink at Vegas
At
Video.
one point in time, we had a lower third for that.
We did.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Thump thump.
Have a
Thump thump. Thump thump. Thump thump.
So-
Thump thump.
Okay, so now right now we've got a crawl on the bottom that shows the weather. We're going to change that to Nick's heartbeat crawl. And we're going to watch this heartbeat go up when something like this happens, where we're like, hey, Nick, any chance we could get that? By the way, up to this point, Nick has been fantastic. Applause for Nick. Now, I'm a little worried about giving him applause, but I'm going to do it anyways because I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. What the hell? Okay. So there's a number of ways that you can win this contest. Do you want to try to remember those, or would you like me just to rattle them off?
Oh, there's a bajillion. You can be the first person to enter.
That's right.
You can enter via video.
Nice.
You can do a lead-in video for the show.
You introduce the show. Hey, you're watching the Living in Las Vegas podcast. I'm Dave from Poughkeepsie. Thanks for watching. Good.
Mm-hmm. You can. Okay, I've tapped out.
Did you do first correct entry?
Yeah, that was the very first finger.
Intro video. If you're in the live chat.
Oh, of course. You get an extra one.
I feel like you did. So correct entry. So correct entry is one.
Mm-hmm.
If you are in the live chat, if you do a video guess.
Or an entry.
The first correct intro
video.
or intro video. That's the way. 5 ways to win. Okay? All right. Now, here's the cool thing about this. You can win multiple prizes. Really? That seems fucking awesome. Do you remember what you can win? I know you've been away for a little while. You may have forgotten a couple of things. You're out doing vacation. Tell people, hold on, what's my, that's what I needed, some good music for that. We'll go with this. What can they win?
83 days, folks. 83 days, and you and the family will be gathering around the Yule log. What will you be listening to at that time? How about Chris McCoustic, Chris McCoustic 2, or if you're feeling a little funky like we are right now, some Geek Jazzathon.
Nice.
Put it on. The kids will just, they'll love it. It'll be better than Santa. You might not even need Santa to show up at that point.
Santa is a
after
girl.
You get through those
he probably
albums.
has a Mac. Next
up, hey, you know in 83 days what you could give someone underneath the Christmas tree? Only the best gift ever, and that is the Vegas Video Network visor. Not available in stores, and this is not a limited offer. Their only way to win these visors is through this opportunity. Give that special someone the gift they want and the gift they deserve this holiday season with the Vegas Video Network visor.
It's not an iron-on, by the way.
That's embroidery. That is full embroidery.
We're not messing around with that.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's craftsmanship that you just don't find except for, Filipino sweatshops anymore. Finally, hey, you know what? is it still kind of? It's getting chilly outside, and you want a little of that warm Christmas spirit right now. How can you get that? Scott Whitney can take you out. You can order yourself a little cocktail, maybe some Crown Royal, like is being demonstrated here, and that will just warm you up inside. And you know what? You won't need to wait those 83 days to see what's under your Christmas tree.
Very good. Thank you so much there, Wayne. Well done. Low number of players, but first, I forgot to mention.
I wasn't here. Viewership. The Nielsen.
Dropped.
I saw the overnight Nielsen's.
Did you?
They weren't as good.
Really?
You and the NFL have a little bit of a problem right now.
I don't want to tell you anything, but we got a lot of good feedback from last week's show. Okay, no, I love you. Like the brother who I had to kill because he moved into a guard-gated facility and he won't talk to me anymore.
Right.
Here's
on a golf course.
Here's the excuse me, on a golf course. Here's the magic that happens as a part of this show. Yes, you can win a lot of these cool things, but here's where groovy shit happens. Let's say you win one of these here visors. And you put it upon your noggin like so. And then you take a picture.
You know what it's like? Gosh. Remember the Chevy Chase movie, Christmas Vacation?
Do I?
It's like the Jelly of the Month Club. It turns into the gift that keeps on giving.
It turns into more of that, my friends. You put that thing on your head, you take a picture, you send it to me, and guess what happens? You become a part, well, of the galaxy of God.
Hey, it's Steve.
Steve, and then Robert, and Christina, and Danny, and Dawn, and Jackie, and Ken, and premature Michael, and Sammy, and Mike Q, and Rosie. We're rolling through here. There's everything. Those two are nudists, by the way, who are, and Scott V for victory, and Mickey and Bud, who's in the live chat. Shan, not Chan. Carol from the UK, Bob and his wife, and there's a dog, and Jimmy G. We're trying to roll through here faster than
Michael,
there is.
Rob.
And there's Chris, and there's your buddy Scott, and hey Wayne, and Brett's dad, and there's Mr. Testy, and there of course is Brett. Oh, that was close.
Don't you feel like there's a little asterisk when it comes to that? Like you gain immortality, but listen, screen time may vary. Not all names guaranteed to be read.
Yeah, it got a little. It's a little faster than we normally do it. If
you become immortal, subject to the Vegas Video Network terms and conditions.
No. Had we had the heartbeat monitor, what we would see is little Nicky's heart going, oh fuck, that could have gone a lot better. We're hoping that he doesn't do a premature acclicolation next time when we're trying to actually do this fucking song. Okay, here we go. So 8 of 8. This is tougher than I thought, but God, the clues were pretty easy. The clues were blue ribbon, blue ribbon, blue ribbon. Actually, the real clues were pretty easy as well. I mean, come on. You know, if you're a cow and you get first place, you win one of these. Fuck, it's a blue ribbon. How hard is that? Okay, anyways. 8 of 8. Okay, here we go. Are you ready? Where's my bag?
The bar or the chicken restaurant?
Well, it's both.
That's right.
It's at Cosmo.
Oh.
Not you're thinking of...
I'm thinking downtown Summerlin.
Oh, yeah, you might be. So number 1, Gary Romberg, Mr. Testy, 1 for the correct answer, 1 for being the first correct answer, and 1 for being in the live chat. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a triple threat. That a boy.
Is he really in there?
Yeah, he is. Get that dude in there. Well done.
I'm just independently verified.
I independently already verified. Get in there, big boy.
Working on it.
There's quite a few live chatters in here today.
I know the chat is representing.
It's blowing up. Next up, we've got Dan Jaggers, Jags 53. 1 for the correct answer. Guess what? 1 for being in the live chat. Atta boy, Danny. I'm going to give him an angel. Next up, we've got Monica Fagan, Binky 51. 1 for the correct answer. Guess what? 1 for the live chat.
Or as she called herself, our not requisite Canadian, but
she's from Chicago.
Didn't she say something about?
She's a previous winner. I met her and her husband. We had our Haddam at Golden Nugget. Next up, we have Andy in New Hampshire. I just got to say something for Andy. Andy has been watching our show forever, and I'm not sure he's ever won, ever. So we're going to put him in a double just because this guy never gives up. And I love that about New Hampshire people. So Andy in New Hampshire, I'm putting you in because, well, it's my show. Next up, we've got Bob Thomas from St. Augustine. What are you doing right there?
You wanted Andy in twice.
I thought you put him in already.
Oh, well.
You did. You just put him in twice. You tried to do a triple. You got to watch this Wayne guy.
I mean, listen, the guy's never won.
Well, maybe. Nah, let's not get carried away. Bob Thomas from St. Augustine, Florida. Way to go, brother. Next up, we've got Paul. Condor 954, one for the correct answer. Condor 954, one for being in the live. I'm telling you, get yourself in the live chat. Send in a Haddam thing. Get yourself in the live chat. You have a chance to win tens of dollars worth of content.
Mm-hmm. Subject to terms and conditions.
Steve I from Michigan. Steve I, one for the correct answer, one for being in the live chat. He also writes, it makes me very sad what happened in Vegas. I agree with that. I will tell you, though, that the way the community has rallied around this has been fantastic. And then finally, Michael B. from Chicago, one for the correct answer. And then Michael writes.
Michael says, Dear Scott and fill in the blank. Really? Fill in the blank and or Wayne, right? Haddam answer from LiLV number 312
Boom.
Is Blue Ribbon at the Cosmo.
Correct.
Enjoyed the change up in co-hosts. No Raider comments.
Ouch!
Wow. Must I continue?
Yes.
Scott, you may want to look up a song Ben Folds wrote while traveling through central Illinois. Quote, on the way to normal, Effington, artistic altercation, best is the a cappella version. It's a one-joke song, but fun. Keep it coming. Michael B. from Chicago.
I think he's doing Effington versus Effingham.
1, 2.
That's
probably. This whole email was disappointing, to be quite honest.
I would say that the email started off very strong.
Michael.
Let's reiterate. Enjoyed the change up in hosts. Hold on. Let me get a good sound effect for that. That would be this one. Ouch! That'll leave a mark. So you got a little whip there. No Raiders comments. Wow. Whip it good. That's good.
Tomahawk said no.
No, I think he says yes. Ow! That'll leave a mark, big boy. And then the rest of it, it's not nearly as fun as the part where I get to go. That's comedy gold right there. Okay. Sorry, Wayne. Okay, are you ready?
Come on.
I don't
know.
By the way, I'm glad that you're wearing an actually real Las Vegas team as opposed to the bullshit team that you know.
Cool.
We went and saw them this last week.
I know. I was hoping to hear about it, but obviously some things happened.
Yeah, today's not the day.
Yeah.
But it was fantastic. Here we go.
All right. If it's Steve I, I'm throwing this out, right? Or no, Michael.
No, Mike B.
Michael B.
I hope it's Michael because that'd be funny.
It's not. No, it's not. Nope. I doubted they were in the chat. I never should have doubted them. It was Mr. Testy.
Again! Congratulations, Mr. Testy. You are the winner. You get to wear a hat or you get to have a drink on me. He's a previous winner, by the way. You know where we met? You with us?
No, that was different. That was a Golden Tiki with someone else.
It was Golden Tiki. It was with... Who was that with? Well, he's in the chat. Who were you with? It didn't matter. God, it wasn't you? What's that 10 mean? Oh, it was you? Oh, shit. Okay, we're good. Thanks. Attaboy. 10 minutes. Okay, let's look at this week's Have a Drink upon moi. This will be a hard one. Okay, hint number 1. This new bar is situated between 2 ice rinks.
Oh, I got it.
Attaboy. You live here. This new bar.
I was there. I was there about 2 days before you posted you were there.
Well, that's good. This new bar is situated between 2 ice rinks. Hint number 2. You can watch the Vegas Golden Knights practice while drinking a beer, which we did on Friday. Here's what's interesting about hockey, real quick. Do you know much about hockey?
I know enough to be conversational.
Do you know what icing is?
Yes.
Offsides? I don't have the first fucking clue. I watch hockey.
Has to do with red lines and blue lines.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I watch hockey and go, fast, potentially violent, I'm in.
Remember in the 90s when Fox made the puck glow like a neon color?
Oh, I do. It doesn't. It feels very random. Come to find out, it's not. There are plays in hockey. There are plans in hockey.
Oh, yeah.
And if you watch practice, you see that. So we watched practice and went, holy crap, these people are actually doing stuff, coordinated. They know what's going on. Pretty cool. All right, back to our clues. So like I said, the second clue was you can drink a beer while watching the Golden Knights. And the number 3 clue is it's not named after an actress from One Day at a Time. It's not named after an actress from One Day at a Time.
Now, for the fans out there and the potential entrants, I want to clarify. You're looking for not the name of the venue.
Name of the bar.
Name of the bar.
Which is esoteric-ish.
Yes.
In that...
Well, it's actually a chain, I believe.
Well, I think it is, too. By the way, how interesting would it be to know how much it costs? Oh, we've got time. I'll talk about this. If we haven't got time for email. Remind me about box seats at T-Mobile.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think this place might be a chain, but I don't know that it is. I've never heard of it before. Have you?
Nor have I.
I've never heard of it before. But it's got a chainish look. But I don't think, like on their menu, I don't think they've got, oh, yeah, we're here and we're here in Poughkeepsie.
See, the reason I thought that is because I got a takeout menu because I work just right across the street.
Yeah.
And so I wanted something to take back to show people.
Yep.
And on the back of the takeout menu, it said something to the effect of, it had the name of it, and then it said they were out of Denver or something.
Well, okay, that's interesting. Okay, what did I want to say?
About box seats.
Okay. So we're about ready to wrap up. We've got about 8 minutes to go. I want to tell you this story about the box seats at T-Mobile. So I have a friend who knows a guy who bought a box seat at T-Mobile. Now, I have no idea what that cost. And do you know?
I do not.
I don't know.
No.
Let's guess. It was probably $50,000 all in.
Yeah, it was 56. Is the number that sticks in my head.
Okay. How did you know that?
Well, she's the one who bought it.
How do you know that?
I wrote check.
No, the fuck you did. How do you know that? I mean, did you hear that from somebody?
Somebody that we were.
But no, he didn't know. He guessed. But he didn't know.
We added it up to all together.
Okay.
56, 57 is what stuck in my head.
So our guess was to get a box seat at T-Mobile Arena, it was probably $50,000-ish. All right. So my buddy comes in here it was 3 or 4 days ago, and was talking about this friend of his who bought one of these things, and he said, this has become a business for him. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, he's renting this thing out. He is clearing 6 figures a year on renting out his box seat.
I believe it.
Wow.
I mean, I have plans to do that.
Let me just say
I
something.
have plans to break even on my Raider tickets.
Let me just say something about that. Damn it, I wish I was just a little bit smarter. Just a little bit. Not a lot smarter, but I wish I was just smart enough to think, if I invest $50,000, I'll make $100 a year. Boy, that would have been smart.
$100,000.
$100,000 a year. I would have been in.
I'll tell you what. If you want to invest $50,000 with me, I'll make sure you get $100 a year back in
Nope,
return.
$100,000. And so we were talking about the alleged Raiders thing, and we were thinking it's probably $100,000 buy-in to get a seat there, a box seat. By the way, these box seats at T-Mobile are 20 people, which explains why he's making all this money.
You're talking about a suite, right?
Yeah, it's 20 people.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I feel so idiotic not to go, how could I have not known that? And just, I could have come up with 50 grand.
He hasn't cleared that yet.
Oh, he sounds like he's in a pretty good place, profitable. I got this little wing over here that I'm a little uncomfortable with.
Because I have some serious doubts about the quality of the hockey we're going to see this year.
Well, that's so interesting. We got 4 minutes. First of all, Raiders, $100,000. I can't cover that. God damn it. I wish I could. But my buddy's like, oh yeah, he'll buy one of those too. Fuck! All right, maybe I can get like a piece of that. What's that called?
Like a share?
Yeah, but there's a thing for that. Okay, all
Be
right.
a partner?
What were you going to say? What were you just talking about?
About the
Oh my God, what happened?
seats. Oh, the quality of hockey.
This is, I don't disagree. In 4 minutes, we're going to say this. How are we doing? Is it 4 minutes? Am I right? Okay. So the preseason they started off 2-0, and they were 2-1, and I think they ended up being 3-2-1.
I thought they lost all their preseason games.
No, not at all.
Oh, at home they haven't won at home though.
No, well, maybe, but they are. I think they were 3-2-1. I think they were basically 50%. It was their preseason. I thought they were going to get the shit beat out of them because there's the people who are not being protected by all these other teams. I thought this is going to be brutal, but we're going to support them because they're our team and Gunpla hard. They're actually a pretty good team, but yes, I think they've not done well locally at our T-Mobile beautiful arena. Okay, that's it. Anything else, you guys?
No. Continue to represent well, Vegas.
The fans were fantastic for the first whole game. There will be so Greg thinks they're going to be a 500 team.
Oh.
I don't think so.
Oof.
Team won't be that bad. I bet them. So we've got people in the live chat who already bet them 200-1. Oh wow. There's no chance you're going to make any money on that. Kid friendly Vegas. That's funny. All right. That, my friends, is it. Nope. M. That, my friends, is it.
Thumb thump, 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 thumb thump.
No. Yeah, I did. But you should know it. That doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter.
Fucking 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Yeah. That was the only mistake you made.
Join us in the after show as we continue to stroke out Nick.
Hey, if you want to reach out to us, you can do so by sending an email to onairq@livinginlv.com, or you can send to our GoFundMe so we can make sure that we get a pacemaker for Nick.
Or get one of those with
was
AEDs.
Was that his first mistake? Nope.
We need the ones where you stick it
That was
right
a
on
big
the
one,
chest.
though.
and
Okay.
just-
You can leave us a voicemail. You go to our homepage. You click a little thing on the side, and it brings up a box, and you click on it. You have a microphone on your computer. Guess what that means? All of a sudden, you're sending us a voicemail because you're magic. And we're on all the social media stuff, the Facebook, the YouTube, the Twitter, the whatever the hell it is. iTunes. If you're watching us on iTunes or you're listening to us on iTunes, give us a 5-star review. YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Share us with your friends. We're on Roku with over 73,000 channel installs. We're on Stitcher, TuneIn, Chromecast, Apple, Google, and Fire TV, Google Play, and of course, the Vegas Video Network.com website. I'm Scott. That there is your buddy, Wayne.
Oh,
I was hoping
fill
you
in
to
the
say,
blank.
I thought you were going to go, Wayne, buddy, Wayne, and we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Take care, everybody. Now, go. Yeah, I'm sure. I couldn't be more sure. Where's the Zima, Wayne?
I still have 3 six-packs at home.
And you know what? That means that there are 3